Hey, sister, sitting store, what am I about to preach on? Damn, sister, close the door, watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way. But don't let that get you down, girl.
And here we are.
Hi, I'm so grooving to that song.
I know, right? Every time I hear it. It is so much fun. And, you know, I feel like the first time I heard the song, it was like, this is the song. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It just said everything. It says everything.
Yeah.
How you doing, Justine?
I'm good. The song, it's almost like it was made for HERstory, right?
Right.
We're talking about vision, and I feel like it just fits the vision of what we're doing. So
yeah,
that's why it feels so good.
Yeah. And I also feel as though like some of the lyrics even helped me to encapsulate what it is I was trying to portray, you know, like just even that, hey, sister, you know, and that kind of relaxed groove, you know, like we're accustomed to working and building and doing and everything being so formal all the time. And sometimes you just kind of need that place to just kind of drop it back a bit.
Right.
And yeah, I felt like that helped me even to better define, you know, that spirit that we wanted to bring to HERstory. But yeah. It's a great song.
And there's nothing like being at the grocery store and to be like, hey, sister, whatever, right? Like it's a universal little phrase that just sort of, you know, if you're going to something formal, you can just be like, hey, sister, and everybody counts. So I think that's
exactly. Hey, Destiny. Hey, sister in the room. Yes, please. So, Justine, I want everybody to know, I want to shout it from the mountaintops. I've been telling everyone, you know, it's not just me, that we have a team. There's amazing women in the background who are supporting and serving our community of visionary women. And Jestine, you are one such of those people. I'm going to ask you a question that I've been asking everyone. I know it's like a really blah question, but still. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So, hey, sister. My name is Jestine. I'm a librarian. I'm an auntie. I am a plant mama. Only for the last year or so, because COVID, I live alone, so I need some plants, and I've just been loving that journey. And yeah, like I don't love being on camera. I can say that's something I don't love, but I love working as part of a team. I love community. I love building people up. And yeah, super. I want a t-shirt to officially I'm all for HERstory and what that means in the community that it brings together.
Yes. And you know what? I can't wait to meet your plant babies. But even this is testament to how we're able to grow and expand and try something new and know for sure we hate it, or it might not be so bad, you know, because I know that this is not your space. I know that you love working in the background and supporting there. Or if you do have to get up in front of people, you know, it's about you talking about your professional space and whatnot. So I would love you if you could tell us a little bit about what it means to be a librarian.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so funny because I was sharing like backstage, I guess, where last week I got a chance to connect with 204 high school students and talking about book selection and talk about how we curate lists and all of that. And I'm okay to do that, but to talk about myself. So, I mean, different spaces. As a librarian, I get the opportunity to talk to a bunch of people, but I also get to chat with people one-on-one and meet them sort of where they're at. And so I love that. I love that I get to program and create really high quality opportunities for people to learn about things. I personal finance, so I've been working on that for teens and really building those life skills around being comfortable with money and being comfortable with utilizing the resources that you have at your disposal, really, to best maximize what you want to do, whether it's in your business life or in your personal life. So I get to do a little bit of everything. COVID has certainly changed the landscape, but libraries are becoming even more important because it's the space where people can kind of get whatever they need, whether it's just a piece of paper printed for their taxes or whether they need information to, to finish up their master's degree. So I love what I get to do.
Yeah. And I need to rave a little bit about the Toronto Public Library system. I've been in a few library systems and I adore TPL. Albion Library is my home spot. We pass it and we're like, oh, that's our hangout spot. It's where we chill, right? But even like going beyond, we think of library, we immediately think books, but there's so many community services that are there, and there's so many gaps that are being filled. COVID forced me to go and get equipment that I otherwise would not have had, because I would go to the library and book the maker room and use all their fancy equipment there for free, and to see all of these young people who they started podcasts or they started YouTube channels, and they can come in, they can access thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment and programs, computer programs to edit and all of that. And then also have somebody there to support them, learning how to use 3D printers and all this kind of stuff. And honestly, it's one of my favorite places to be. When this nonsense is all done, we'll be back. But yes, I just had to plug. TPL is not, I don't get a commission for letting y'all know how amazing the library is. It just is. But yes. So we're going to chat a little bit, Jestine. And, it's funny because I've known you for quite a little while now. And we've had all kinds of different conversations. And yet I don't think we've ever had these conversations. So this is going to be a big part of, us in our journey together as we evolve as friends and as companions and working together and whatnot. So what is in your opinion, what is the importance of vision?
I think vision just grounds you. I think that it just gives you a sense of why you're there, like the reason you're waking up, the reason why you're hustling, the reason why you see value in what you're doing, and a sense of self-worth. So I think that's what vision does. It brings all the ideas, all the 3 a.m. thoughts, all of the inspirations you get on the toilet. It just brings all of that together in a way that makes sense and gives life. And it also, it's the opportunity to involve others. I think vision is not something you do by yourself. I think you have to involve a tribe. And that tribe might be 2 people because you're the only 2 people that get it right now. But I think that it's something that it sparks. You can share it. And that's the beauty of vision. Because when someone catches it, you're good to go.
Yeah, that is so true. And I love the fact that you pulled in that these moments of inspiration can happen in the most mundane situations, right?
Yeah.
And that's so true. Sometimes we think about it in terms of these grand, lofty, you're going to write an edict, have like a big scroll and have it read to the commune. But no, sometimes it happens, in the shower, you're brushing your teeth. You're like, oh, wait, that's so true. Now, you are a professional, right? And you're a leader in your profession. And there are many spaces where you're involved in building community and whatnot. and you have a voice and a presence there. Have there been any times where you felt as though your own voice was diminished or silenced?
Short answer is yes. I think so. We talk about what do you do to make sure that your voice is being heard, but I think the flip question is often, well, who's at the table anyways to hear your voice? So I think that's where, like, in working with different communities, whether it's in my my volunteer work or like my professional work, I think it's more, I'm more concerned about who's at the table than I am about whether your voice gets heard, because there's just not enough at the table. And the table is, it's a rectangle. There's a head as opposed to a circle where everyone has voice. And so I think that's my first question: who is at the table first? Like, who's not being heard at all? And then when you're at the table, I think you constantly have to prove yourself, whether it's female, whether it's because I'm Black, whether it's because I'm young. That's another really one. It's like, well, you haven't been around long enough to sort of have these opinions or these thoughts or this vision around how you think things can go in the future. And so there's definitely times when I felt like my voice wasn't being heard, or where I've put my ideas forward and someone else has said the same thing, and they all of a sudden it's a great idea. It's like, well, but I've been saying that. And those are just, unfortunately, things you work through, and you get stronger and you get better at articulating your ideas, and you get firm. It's like, well, I'm just going to keep saying this until someone listens as well. Even if no one's listening, I'm going to keep saying it because it's important. And I have the voice, and I'm going to use it.
Yeah. You said so many things in there that, resonate with me on different levels, First of all, let's go to your big question: who else is at the table? Because even where we get to the point where we are bold enough to use that voice that we have, is it going to just fall short because they're falling on deaf ears? And so we get to that point where we're very willing, we're okay with speaking up, but who else is here? And a lot of my perspective has been, well, let's go make our own table. You have your oddly shaped table there, and that's not working for me. So let's go make our own table where we can have the conversations where more voices are heard, and then the idea of the table being circular. I remember when I started our nonprofit in Barbados, and I wrote down this whole structure, and I was on like a 2-week, it was supposed to be a vacation, but I really ended up being mentored over the 2 weeks. And I sat down and wrote this whole thing out, and I took it to my mentor, and he goes, that's not original. I was like, what are you talking about? This is a great idea. And he's like, sure, the idea is great, but your structure is unoriginal. You have the same top-down structure as everybody else, which means no matter what idea you put in, you're going to get the same results as everybody else. And he said, why not a circle? I had no idea what that meant. So I was like, what do you, I was like, somebody has to decide about things. You know what I mean? Like, everything can't be a vote. And, I was just like, this doesn't make any kind of sense until I worked in an international organization that was extremely top down. And the bottlenecks were just overwhelming, and the red tape was unnecessary. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. And then to your point on, we are here a lot talking about our voice being diminished as women. And we talked all throughout February about our voices as Black women. But as a young woman, we often forget, that youth are a marginalized group. Our society is structured to say, you calm down and just follow instructions. Right? And so in our organization, not only did we create that circular structure, but we elevated our youth to be the leaders of, because now their voice, not only do we want to hear their voice, we want their voice to be the driving force of what we do, which means they have to be empowered to make decisions based on their collective voice. And that is revolutionary. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah. Thank you for that. So you just kind of helped me like reaffirm that I was on the right track. So thanks. Now, we've been talking to women who've written books and whatnot, and they've taken some of these steps to actually author their story. You know, um, the idea of writing it down, the idea of claiming the narrative and your specific version of your own story. How does taking control of that version make you feel?
I think I have to sort of flip that question around. I love, forget the fact that I'm a librarian. I just love people's stories. So I love reading biographies. Right now I'm reading Stacey Abrams' first book, and I kind of want to see like her thought process and how she navigates life as a leader very early, before she's a household name. And I think the idea of writing your own story is also about hearing other people's stories. And so, like, I'm not at a point where I've written my story formally. I feel like it's still being formed. But I think about my niece, like, she's so little. And so she's asking me questions about, like, my life and what I'm doing. And so, in a way, I'm being able to reflect through the eyes of a child around what my story is and how it's important. So I think it's about hearing other people's stories and just appreciating where they're at, but then also realizing that your story is going to keep going, and it's being framed and it's being understood through the eyes of those that are around you, even if you haven't like formally written it down, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that brings us to then living the story and the examples that we're setting throughout, as we live and as others look on. And I feel so like silly right now because I'm like, wait, she's talking. Of course she's talking. She's at the age but she was just born. I was like, what do you mean she's asking questions? Like, oh yeah. Oh my gosh. And I still haven't gotten a chance to meet her yet, but soon enough. When this is all done, I'm hoping to be able to, because it's like, you've been there for this little person, and, you kind of just get glimpses in, and then it's like, oh yeah, she's a big girl now. She's not a little baby anymore. So, this idea then of being able to learn from the other stories, pick up our own story, frame our story, make the decisions that would create the right story. Because I think that that's a big part of taking control of the narrative. Also means taking control of the decisions. We could control the narrative of the past, but how does that empower us to make the right decisions going forward, so that we are intentional about how we frame the story that we want to be told? And especially for our youth, if we can give them that perspective that you can actually intentionally write your story. It's like your resume, right? You don't go writing things down that aren't true. Right? So you actually need to do those extracurriculars. You actually need to be the leader. You actually need to do this. You actually need to do that. So you can write it down, and taking that perspective to our lives, even to our personal lives. How do I want to truthfully capture this moment 10 years from now? How will I live today so that 10 years from now, this is how this moment is captured?
So what you've learned, right? Like a resume is not everything you've done. It's like, well, what have you learned? What have been the items? What have you changed? Implemented? And then also just what didn't work so well. It's like, well, I worked here, but it wasn't a good fit for me, and that's okay. This is what I'm going to bring to the team when I'm at a different space. So I think it's all encompassing.
Exactly. And it just goes to show like what works and what doesn't work isn't necessarily a reflection of, ability, but just placement. Sometimes things just aren't, that's just not the place you need to be at right now, and in our personal lives, sometimes we get caught and trapped in all different kinds of relationships, not just romantic relationships, but all different kinds of interactions that may not be serving us. And for us to be able to recognize that, okay, well, I could sit and wallow in it's a mistake, or I could realize I'm just not in the right place. And not being in the right place is really easy to fix, right? Because then you just change position. The process of that may not be so easy, but at least the solution is pretty simple, you know? Now, we've been talking about being able to be grounded by our vision, like you mentioned, and, you know, choosing our table and choosing to keep repeating our story and what we're saying at the table until it is heard, as you mentioned, and that our story is being read as we live it, you know, through the eyes of others who are looking on. Wrap all of that up for me in the word victory. What is the image that comes to your mind when you hear the word victory, having been through this process?
I think for me, it's the emoji, you know, the hands up emoji where you like hand raised. I think that's what victory sort of, the image that comes to mind when I think about victory. Mm-hmm. I think it's because you like physically have to move your body upwards.
Yeah.
There's also a bit of like the spiritual aspect of raise your hand and like surrender like to the Lord. I think that's what comes to mind when I think about victory. And I also, I think it's also something outwardly that you have to do. It's not necessarily a feeling. There's some sort of outwardly expression of victory, whether it's, you know, the website, whether it's the expenditures at the end of the month, whatever that looks like, or the community that you've raised, the bunch of other hands that have joined you. I think that's what victory sort of, the image that comes to mind.
Yeah. You know, you said something that I think we may not have put those two together. Surrender as a part of the victory, because generally speaking, and if there's like a war, the side that surrenders is not the victorious side, right. You know, but somehow this magic, almost this, you know, a thing that you don't really understand is that when we release the need to be in full control and we're willing to surrender and we're willing to allow ourselves to submit to a master plan, you know, and then now we're not trying to control all the pieces, but we are understanding where our place is. And that goes back to that positioning, you know, are you in the right place or not? And understanding, am I aligned? You know, am I in position? Am I where I need to be? What do I need to do to get there? You know, that is so powerful. Look at you. Look at you. Thank you so much, Jestine, for coming on and sharing with us this afternoon. Would you like to tell everybody about our event in April?
Yeah, so keep tuned. We have a coloring event. So an opportunity for us as sisters to come together, some affirmations, some great imagery, and it's just a time to reflect and come together virtually. So keep that in mind for April. It's a great Mother's Day gift event before we celebrate moms in May.
Yeah, that's so true. Because you can get a me gift, as we call it. And it could be a mom gift if you want it to be. So when you come in and hang out with us in April, and please remember that 10% of our proceeds throughout this year will be going to the Beautiful Foundation. We've had a really fantastic partnership with, I mean, women, yes, but there are some guys in there too. There are some guys in there who are working really hard to make sure that women who are in shelters, women who have experienced homelessness, women who've experienced economic disenfranchisement, women who are working hard to overcome substance abuse and addiction, women who are working hard to surpass the trauma of physical and verbal and mental, emotional violence. These people at the Beautiful Foundation have created such an amazing opportunity to lavishly love on, you know, people that society would otherwise just pretend they're not there, you know, and just overwhelmingly bring these hugs to bear, and it's really been amazing to watch it happen and to come alongside them and to learn more and more from them as we grow as well. So we are more than pleased to be able to partner with the Beautiful Foundation and support them. And we want to thank our partners in that venture as well, Ms. Sophia Soj Jackson. Again, she's the voice you hear in our videos, singing that amazing song in the background there. And Ms. Marsha Watson of Divine Executive Concierge, Inc. And this has been, so far, this has been so phenomenal every day in March. It's been so good.
Lots of great women to come.
Yes.
Been an inspiring month so far.
Yes. And we have so much more to go. Check out as well, Jestine will be working in the background to support our mastermind facilitators. You'll meet our mastermind facilitators throughout the month. So when you come into the Zoom, you may not see her because she most likely won't be on camera, but she'll be there making sure that our mastermind facilitators can focus on delivering and serving you in your hot seat coaching, in your breakout rooms for your masterminds, in the presentation. So you want to be a part of that. So I'll make sure that the link is available so that you can join us and become a member. And 5 masterminds every month from 5 different women, different perspectives, different professional backgrounds. I mean, everything, right? It's the whole, literally, we've brought the world to you. Like, we just made it so easy. All right. Well, Jestine, any parting words of wisdom for us?
Oh, pressure's on.
Just a little bit.
A little. No, other than to say thank you so much, Nadia, for pushing me, encouraging me to do this. This has been great. And, I look forward to the rest of the month and just everything that HERstory has in store for us this year. So,
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jestine, and thank you for all that work that you do in the background. Thank you for the sounding board. Thank you for the ideas. Thank you for your heart and your willingness to, like you said, create community and build. One of the things that I most appreciate in relationships around me is consistency, and I really appreciate you having been there throughout the years. And I really appreciate your yeses and your nos. I love that I always know where I stand, with you. And I hope I'm not embarrassing you doing this live, but I really do appreciate you in this space and just in life in general. So thank you for that. Fake hugs, big COVID virtual hugs. All right. Well, thanks to everyone who's joined us. Thank you for all the comments and all the love, ladies. Yes. Hashtag replay and let us know what resonates with you from our conversation today. And yes, thank you. Thank you all. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Hey, sister, sitting store. What am I about to preach on? Damn, sister, close the door. Watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way.